Hey guys, welcome to episode 14, right? 14 tonight.
Yep.
We've been doing this 14 times. That means you guys are all experts by now.
Wrong.
Wrong. Well, we're really good amateurs.
Maybe
that. Yeah.
We've got an interesting show tonight. I'm anxious to hear your guys' opinions. I think I got some good topics for you, so we'll let you geniuses opine all night long, okay? And then second segment, we've got Kathy Freilich, District 15, so she'll be joining us shortly. We start the show, of course, with the jobs of Rubio. And the first one is Rubio talked about his diet. He said he couldn't, who is it, RFK, that has a very lean diet, and Rubio says he's a Pop-Tart guy. He's a Pop-Tart guy. Leon, are you a Pop-Tart guy?
Used to be. I can't do sugar now. I introduced Pop-Tarts to the 8-year-old when we went to Bismarck a week or two ago. I couldn't believe that he had never had a Pop-Tart. So I pulled over. Yeah.
I used to be the brown sugar ones, I think, when my kids were in school. I think
Yep.
that was my go-to on occasion. Yep. And then the other job, of course, we need a new press secretary. So,
oh my gosh,
that job is still open, I think. Mike, you can apply.
I think Marcella Rubio is going to be better at it than I am there.
Mike, I think if you apply, you should use this as your headshot.
Look at those locks.
As your professional shot, I think that's what you should use.
I did have hair at one point in my life.
Would you show up? They're going to be like, "Who are you? What are you doing here?"
You had a lot of hair once in your life.
That's good stuff.
I think the young girls or the young people call that fire.
Yeah.
I don't know the lingo anymore.
Okay, let's start with my 2 cents. Recently, I listened to the Steve Day show every day, and he had a guy on by the name of John Harris. John Harris is a religious, I don't know how to describe him. He's just been recently on, but he's a friend of Steve Day's. And he used the term, you must win to scale up. Last week on Open Range, I wrote a Perry's perspective on what that phrase means to me. I'm curious to hear what it means to you guys. We'll start with you, Ryan. What does win and then scale up mean to you?
I think it means you first have to get a seat at the table before you can start to make change. Couple examples. One here in Minnesota.
Ryan, I think we're going to stop before you get going. You've got a sound problem.
All right.
Let's start with Leon.
I'll change.
Leon, let's start with you. What does that phrase mean? Win and scale up mean to you?
Well, I kind of went into this today on that intro. To me, it means if we don't win, then we don't get to expand the ministry or grow the donor base or plant the next church or build a parallel institution if we're still getting our teeth kicked in every single election cycle, every single culture war, skirmish. If victory is the prerequisite, not vibes, not raising awareness, not strongly worded open letters signed by 17 theologians who've never won anything in their lives, actual, measurable, undeniable winning. We spent decades pretending that the opposite is true. We act like the perpetual minority status is somehow spiritually superior. We lose the school board, then congratulate ourselves for standing firm. We lose the state legislator, and then we write a Substack about how the moral high ground is more important than power. We lose the country, and then host a conference about the coming revival that will definitely start any day now, as soon as we finish another round of internal purity tests. That is, Harris is just saying the quiet part out loud. Losers don't scale. Winners do. You cannot multiply what keeps shrinking. You cannot disciple a generation that has already been discipled by the people who beat you. You can't build lasting influence while the other side writes the rules, owns the institutions, and decides what is allowed to be said in public. We got to stop romanticizing the wilderness. We got to stop treating every loss like a badge of faithfulness. The goal is not to lose more righteously than the last guy. The goal is to win cleanly, decisively, and repeatedly, so things worth preserving actually have room to grow. Because if you never win, you never scale. And if you never scale, the other side keeps the entire field. That's my 2 cents.
Amen. Mike, we'll move to you. Good job, Leon. I agree.
Yeah, no, that's a good answer. Well, I guess if I look at it in the business sense, I would say it refers to starting small and working your way into larger things. No, like for example, if you have an idea for a product or for a business, you're better off starting small to see what kind of response or demand there is, and then expanding from there. This would give you the ability to fix small mistakes up front rather than to start out with a major launch and then having a faulty product on the market that you've already produced millions of that product. Now, when you relate it to politics, and I think that's what he was doing in this portion, but what I think he means, and admittedly, I did not see the show, but if someone told me that, I would just assume this. I would think that they meant that it's a bad idea to promise the world to get elected, as most people are likely going to see through that. But instead, just come across as a candidate that wants to start small, tackle some of the small problems first, that you can actually get accomplished, and don't be controversial, just be likable, and then once you're elected, you can start to ramp up the importance of the issues that you intend on tackling. And I can say from experience, that there's truth to that. My first session, I had a bill that would have completely changed how we figure property taxes. It was, in my opinion, it was a much fairer option than what we have now, and a lot of people really liked it. But after the bill ultimately failed, one of the senators grabbed me and he told me, he says, "Don't be disappointed. Just know that you're never going to change the world in your first session." And at the time, I was a little upset about it, because I thought I had a good idea that failed, whatever. But after thinking about it for a while, I know now that he was right. You first need to earn the respect of your colleagues before you make some major changes like this. And once you gain that respect that is needed, then you can start moving on to bigger things. So, if I was going to summarize this, I would just say, start small, learn the ropes, keep your head down, and march forward. You're going to be more effective that way. And I guess that's my thoughts on that.
You make a good point. Mike, you make a good point that it's kind of a phrase that kind of can go all over life, right? Whether it's family or business, or you're starting out a business, or you're going to college, or whatever it is. That's why I thought it was such a good thing. Right. Yeah,
and you're absolutely right. You could relate it to anything in life. And I just chose business because I have 30 plus years of business experience, but I'd rather get your feet wet, and start small until you know what you can succeed at, and then go from there. Because how would you like it if you produce 10 million of these gadgets and then you find out that something's faulty? You started out too big. Work your way up to the top, I think, is kind of what he was referring to at.
Yeah, maybe John can write a self-help book. Ryan, what does win but scale up mean to you?
Does my sound better now? Just making sure.
Yeah, I think it's better.
Okay. So I think like I said, I think you got to win to first get a seat at the table
Oh
before
no.
you can start to make change.
No, it's still bad.
It
How about-
started out good.
Pardon?
How about now?
Yep.
There.
Better?
Yes.
So one of the examples
Touch
I
anything.
got here is Minnesota. Tim Pawlenty, we last
Still
had
not
as
working.
governor, was elected governor.
Hang on. We're gonna try this. Wonder what's going on. You've been working for 14 weeks.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Are they wired? Those are wired, right? Make sure that you have a solid connection. Like it's not
Yeah.
halfway in there.
They are wired.
Try it
Yeah,
again.
same ones I've been using before.
There.
Okay.
I think it's working.
Now it sounds better.
Just don't move.
So like I said, we've got Tim Pawlenty, who was last elected governor in 2006 here in Minnesota, the last time a Republican was elected. And, Minnesota definitely wasn't a red state back then, but they were in the purple category, I would say, just because they did have Republican, senators, Republican governor at the time. But 20 years later, we look at where the state is after 8 years of Mark Dayton and 8 years of Tim. That's how he gets his kicks walls. We've become a cesspool of leftist ideology where you've got transgender dolls in first grade. You've got tampons and boys'
Ryan,
bathrooms.
guys, it's still not working, right?
No.
Why don't you reboot your machine and come back, okay? And
All
we'll
right.
move on to Kathy. Then we'll get your answer after that.
No
Okay.
worries.
We'll send him to the lobby. Okay, we'll move to Kathy. Let me give you a summary of what mine was. I made a football analogy to win and scale up and first downs. And I fall into this. I think Leon falls into this. Mike, maybe not to a lesser extent. You're a legislator. You're used to the real world and what it is making sausage. But too often we want the bomb. We want the perfect candidate, the perfect everything. Trump's not moving fast enough.
Yep.
This just isn't happening as fast, as quickly, or as much change. And Washington is just so darn big that maybe we have to take some small wins and first downs and 12-yard passes and 6-yard screens and 3-yard dive plays and take the wins when we can get them, because you just can't turn this big hydra around, this big leviathan around overnight. It's going to take constant effort. And then, like I said, let me throw this, get your 2 replies. How do you scale up when incumbency is such a hard thing to tackle? Right? Scaling up means maybe you win and then you get a better candidate the next time, or a better senator the next time. Go ahead, Mike.
Perry, a couple of shows ago when we were talking about Thomas Massey, Thomas Massey is right on a lot of these things, but I think Thomas Massey was shooting for the moon when you're only going to maybe just barely get out of the atmosphere. And I agree. I mean, he's got some great ideas and he's right on our spending and he's right on a lot of this, but the reality, like you speak of, it's not ever going to happen, not under today's environment. So yeah, take the small victories, which that bill would have been as a small victory, instead of holding it hostage. You're never going to get 49 other senators to vote that way. So you might as well just move the needle to the right just a hair. But yeah, I think that's kind of the same thing that you're referring to there also.
Leon, how do you win with incumbency? Scale up.
I'll let Leon answer that.
The incumbency thing, it's a hard pill to swallow. But you're right. You got me pegged dead to rights, dude. I'm a NDSU Bison fan, and I want to see those boys run the ball. I want to see those long passes and them grabbing that ball and 20-yard plays and 30-yard plays and things like that. But sometimes those boys just got to get in there, grind it out, and it's by inches and inches and inches, and then you move that chain. I think a lot of times, and I'm guilty of this, I want that long pass and that beautiful catch and that run right into the, come on, boys, let's go, horns up, that sort of thing. And the boys win, but sometimes it's incrementally. And,
Well, the Hail Marys are more exciting, but you're only going to complete 1 out of 100.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers seems to complete plenty of them. We're going to bring Kathy, and then Ryan, we're going to get to your answer on this on the back side of it, but we'll bring Kathy in right now for our hot seat spotlight. Mike, we'll let you introduce her.
Okay, got her on. There she is. Okay, so today we have with us State Representative Kathy Fralick. She's from District 15 up on the northeast side of the state. She was elected for the first time the same time I was in 2022. She sits right in front of me on the floor, and she's a member of legislative management. And we wanted her to come on the show tonight and talk a little bit about her redistricting battle that she's going through. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the bills that we're going to be seeing next week as we go into special session. So, Kathy, why don't you go ahead and just give us a quick, 30-second intro of yourself, and then go ahead and update us on how things are going with your redistricting lawsuit that's affecting your district. Then after that, we'll go into special session.
Sure. Good to see you, Mike.
You too.
So I'm Kathy Fralick, and I live just northeast of Devil's Lake, which is actually the bigger town in my district. And we live on a farm, but I work in town. Interestingly enough, I actually grew up in Winnipeg, so you might have to be having me back, and we'll talk about socialized medicine sometime.
Oh, yes.
But it's just finishing up my 4th year, the first term, and then going in for election in November. I have 3 daughters, 6 grandkids, and life is good.
Cool. Do you want to go ahead and start with the redistricting and let us
Sure.
know how that's going on?
Sure, and people sometimes aren't aware, but in with the census that occurs, there's usually a redistricting that occurs after each census. So as the population moves, the districts are going to change, and the legislature is responsible for getting together and having a committee. That was all done in the 2021 session before Mike and I were in there. And then our district was changed. It was actually the first time, too, that the state had 2 districts that went A and B sides to split up the districts. And the idea there was to give the Native American communities more of an opportunity to, and there's the map, and that's what it was decided in 2021. And so that's when we were elected. So I was in 15, and it covers basically from Highway 2 on the south side of Ramsey County up just past Candu. And then 9A and 9B were further north. And so I was elected in 22, but then the lawsuits started happening. And what happened was Senator Kent Weston was elected up in 9, and that was kind of a surprise. They really thought Senator Marcellet would get in again. And so even though a lot of the tribal members really got behind that redistricting bill in 2021, all of a sudden now it seemed to water down their vote, and that's what they had concerns about. That's what they went to court. And Spirit Lake didn't get an A and B because each district has to have between 16 and 17,000 people in it. Spirit Lake only has about 3,000 people on the reservation there. And actually Devil's Lake now has about 17% of our population just in Devil's Lake is Native American. So they didn't have enough of a population to split it up A and B in our area. So they joined with the Turtle Mountain reservation, and they got together and they put in a lawsuit. And it was determined by Judge Peter Welty that they were correct, that it watered down their ability to elect people of their race. So he did this map. And so he joined the Turtle Mountain and the Spirit Lake nations together, and you could see that they're kind of joined in that small alleyway there. It took out a little portion of District 14 and then cut into Towner County there and Pierce. So that's what we've been running with since let's see, in the 24 election. That's what we did. So then all of a sudden, if you Representative Johnson and then lost their position. So they were elected for 4 years, got 2. We had to redo an election. And then it was myself and the senator and the representative up in 9 that joined us, because now our district goes all the way up to the Canadian border. So then that was appealed, and the district court, 8th Circuit Court, overturned it and said that no, that wasn't the right ruling. And the reason they overturned it was that they said they didn't have the ability to bring that case forward, that the Department of Justice could only bring that case forward. So they overturned it. They appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court. Judge Kavanaugh gave him a stay, and so we had to stay in the same districts because of that. And then we were kind of waiting on the Louisiana case to be heard earlier this spring, and they finally came out in May and decided that case and said you can't redistrict based on race, which is what was done in our state. However, because our case was appealed on who can bring it forward, it didn't immediately impact our district. And so what they've done is they've just sent it back to the 8th Circuit Court of Appeals and said, hey, you guys got to rethink this. Now, when I've talked to the Secretary of State and the Attorney General's office, they think that the 8th Circuit is probably going to come out with a ruling, but they'll wait till after the November election so it doesn't involve or influence the election. They probably think that they're going to give us a remedy, which might be wait 2 more years and run again. So I'll probably have to run again in a couple more years too.
I got a really quick question, Perry. Is it okay?
Sure.
Okay. So I'm familiar with that Louisiana case. And it sounded like, well, in a nutshell, you guys didn't have standing first time around, right? And based on the Louisiana case, there is the whole you can't like redistrict due to race. Is that gonna? But it sounded like you guys are just gonna, try to run it back. Do you have any concerns that because of the Louisiana case that it's going to be, struck back or remanded again, struck down or remanded again?
I really don't think so. In just the conversations I've had with the Attorney General, I think we're waiting for a remedy, and it's going to be just go back and redo this in 2 years. My concern with that is that we're still leaving it up to the courts, and it's really the legislature's responsibility to do districts. And the legislature could go into this next session and say, we're going back and have a special election next year. Now, how can we do that without costing the taxpayer dollars? That's the problem. But really, it should be up to the legislature, not up to these court cases and judges.
Right. Well, I really appreciate you giving us an update on that, and myself included. I'm glad I know where we're at now, because I'm so lost in this thing right now. I don't even know where we're at. So
well, that was the sorry, I was going to say that was the crazy thing with this last election in the primary. I was seeing all over Facebook, well, so-and-so isn't in the district. How can we vote for so-and-so? They're not even in the district. So the constituents of District 15 don't even know where the lines are or who they're supposed to be voting for.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's just a mess. I'm hoping we can get it handled here pretty quickly. So, all right, well, let's get into, next Wednesday, we start our special session that Governor Armstrong called for us here recently. So just thought we'd take a few minutes and let's go through through all the bills that we're going to see, and let's give the viewers, kind of a rundown of everything that we're going to be voting on next week. So
sure.
The first few things I wanted to talk about was, there's 2 bills on regulation of kratom products. You've got Representative Heiner's bill. The the basics behind it are you must be 21 to purchase kratom, you must be licensed to sell it. It requires it be sold behind the counter. It bans synthetic kratom, and the legal kratom products must have warning labels on them. The second
And then
bill,
there's a penalty as well.
right, and penalties,
Yeah.
right. The second bill is Senator Axman's bill. This one's significantly more restrictive. It basically labels kratom as a Schedule 1 drug and provides penalties for purchase and usage of the drug. So just wanted to see, do you want to maybe give us a little more detail on each of them? And maybe if you're comfortable with it, let us know kind of where you're leaning as of right now.
Sure. And I think the bills are supposed to work together, but it kind of, so one of these bills on kratom actually went through my committee in Human Services last session. So we had 2 bills on kratom last session, and that's why I'm a little frustrated that we're going into special session for this, because during the regular session, we never had any testimony from the AG's office or law enforcement about these bills. And so I'm a little frustrated with this vote now. But the problem was the last session, we had one bill that was complete ban. And then we started hearing all kinds of testimony. In fact, I reached out to 2 recovery centers and talked to therapists, and they said some people are using it to try to get off of opioids. And so that was the first time I'd heard about that. And so we got to testimony, and it was, a full day's worth of people coming in and saying, hey, this isn't the worst stuff on earth. We need this stuff too. So that first bill that was an overall ban, that died because it just didn't have all the information. Then we had the second bill that came forward that put it under basically the purview of the ag commissioners, and basically served it up just like it was in the hemp category. And then that one failed. And there is a distinction because we grow hemp in North Dakota. We don't grow kratom in North Dakota. So then it got turned into a legislative management study, and we dropped the ball and we didn't pick it, but nobody even asked us to pick it up. And Mike, a lot of times things get turned into studies just to die. So we didn't have any indication that it was serious enough. I think these 2 bills coming forward are supposed to work together, that the synthetic stuff that acts on the brain like a true opioid, that stuff is going to be probably get the complete ban on it. The natural stuff is under Heinert's bill, and that's the one that I'm just really glad they separated it, because that was necessary to meet the needs of, I think, all of our citizens, because I think there are people there that are using it responsibly. And I think the 21, I think in the last session, it was 18, but this moves it up to 21 and basically puts it into the same category as tobacco and some of those things. But it can only have so much product in it, and not the synthetic versions. And like you said, it has to have all the warning and the contents in it. So I think both bills are probably going to be okay. I'm surprised they came out with 2 bills. The way they were talking, I thought they were going to come out with one complete ban, but maybe they thought they couldn't get that through. And maybe there'll be efforts to change things. Once that bill goes in, Mike, a lot of changes can happen, and amendments. We'll have to keep an eye on that too.
We can screw that up pretty quickly, can't we?
Mike, do you want to take questions on this, or shall we wait till the end?
Well, I know Leon's going to have something to say about kratom, so why don't we just go ahead and hit that right away?
Well, Representative Frelich, I submitted written and oral testimony on this. Now, I don't use kratom, like I'm an all natural guy, so I didn't really have a dog in this fight, but I knew a lot of veterans that used the natural leaf kratom. And the thing that I kept hearing is, I guess my question would be is, why are we even talking about natural leaf kratom? It has zero, and you can pick up my written testimony. I got all the data in there. Why are we even touching that? The problem is the synthetics. The natural leaf kratom has between 0.03 and 0.05% of the 7OH in there. So it's a tiny, tiny, minuscule amount. The things that they are labeling as kratom are like anywhere from 5 to 95% synthetic. So it's not even the same thing. I think it's a labeling problem. I think that I'd be okay with banning the synthetic stuff because I think it's garbage. But the natural leaf, it's harmless as coffee. It's like aspirin or ibuprofen. So I lean towards Heinert's bill, but I don't know. I have an issue with us with bureaucrats getting in there and tinkering with something that's like completely natural.
And that's a good point. And we don't want to be, we're not doctors there in the legislature either. And we don't want to be back there in 5 years doing a medical kratom bill all of a sudden, just like we have to do with marijuana.
Yeah.
Do you think, Kathy, that with the feedback the legislators have received from the public, that's maybe why they split the two bills, because there was enough voices like Leon out there to say, and I saw some people's testimony, that this is necessary on the natural side.
Yeah, there was a lot of testimony, and I think Representative Clemeen, he actually went and testified to the working group and said, hey, we had hours upon hours of people testify, and hopefully they'll come out again. And I'm not sure if you're aware, but they did schedule an extra day just for the policy group to listen to people testifying. So that will be on the Tuesday before the special session starts. And so hopefully people get out there and actually voice that.
Okay. Next, Mike.
Yep. Well, should we move on to the next one then?
Yep.
Okay, so the third bill we're going to be seeing during session, and I think this is the worst kept secret in the world. I really think this is the real reason we're being called into session. And that addresses the shortfall in funding for the Veterans Military Museum. Basically what that bill does is it gives a $35 million line of credit to the State Historical Society so they can continue construction of the military museum that they started. It's at a 2% interest loan, and it's still meant to be paid back. But it also gives the Capitol Grounds Planning Commission control over the project. So they're going to take that over. And it requires quarterly updates on construction progress, updates on fundraising efforts and such like that. So I think I covered everything that's on that. Kathy, is there any more information you'd like to give us on that one?
And interestingly, I don't even know if I should say this, but in legislative management meeting, I was the lone vote against this bill. And so I'm sure that was not a loud vote. But my concern in there was that there's a section there that says they can, if they don't get the donations they need to meet their part of it, they can request a deficiency appropriation. So like Mike said, they're supposed to pay that back, but they might not. And that's kind of built into that bill, and I don't know that that's a good precedence going forward with the taxpayer.
Leon, I don't see alarms going off in the back of your on your cadenza back there or your desk, but they should be going off, right?
100%.
Meant. I like Mike's meant to be paid back.
Well,
and you're the only one who saw that as being a problem. There's none of your the folks that you work with, talk to daily, none of them share that same concern, because I do.
Yeah, and I think the majority leader of the Senate, he put a good point forward, is that the state is going to be at default of a project that has already been started that we did allow appropriation for. So it doesn't look good on us. But I think the taxpayers also expect us to be mindful of how that money is getting used and managed. So it's going to pass. I just know it will.
No, you're right, Kathy. I think 100% it's going to pass. I mean, this is just a situation that the legislature got put into that we don't have a winnable battle here. You know, if you vote no against it, you hate the veterans. If you vote yes, you're wasting the taxpayer dollars. But you know, one of the issues that I had with this one is, you know, we do a few matching funds. And I was speaking to some other legislators in one of my committees last time about these matching funds, that I really think we need to put a solid foundation on these things and set some strict parameters up front if we're going to be doing any state matching funds. And this is exactly the situation that is now happening that I was referring to when we were talking about this during the last session. Because now you have other groups that have went out and they've done their due diligence, they've got the funds, and then the state has then matched what they have privately raised. So what kind of message are we sending by bailing one project out and not, you know, bailing out the rest of them? It's not fair, but this is why we really need to come up with a strict, if we're going to be doing any more matching funds moving forward, strict regulation on how these funds can be used. And what, you know, I don't even think they should have put a shovel into the ground until they had 75% of this, you know, in place in the first place. So I've got lots of questions on this one. I mean, you're right, Kathy, it's going to pass. I mean, it's something we almost have to do. It's no win, but I hope we can, if anything good is going to come out of this, I think we're going to come up with some strict policies moving forward on matching grants.
Is it too much to ask from a Joe citizen like me that maybe one head rolls because of this, you know, that somebody gets canned or somebody gets
I don't think we can put that into legislation, but it's a good idea.
You know, a nasty thing gets put in their personnel file that, you know, maybe this person doesn't make said decision again next time. You know, we're gonna have to skip that person. Somebody decided to start digging.
Well, if you want some good entertainment, I would suggest watching the floor debate on this bill, because I know there's going to be some questions that are asked, just like what you were saying too. Because there was somebody who dropped the ball, or some group that dropped the ball on this, and we are going to find out who it was. So you might watch that. That might be something you want to have on Fox News that night. It could be pretty entertaining.
Must see TV.
Yep. So, all right, well, we can move on. You know, the last two bills that we're looking at are probably less major than the first three, whatever. But, you know, the fourth bill we're looking at is that it's basically a small fix to the $1,600 primary residence tax credit that the state implemented in 2025. And all it does is it takes into effect the 5% discount if you pay early. Then it reduces the tax bill accordingly, and then applies the remaining $1,600 to the final tax bill. And this is just one, and we knew when we passed, this primary residence tax credit that there's going to be little things that slip through the crack, and we're going to have to fix it. And this is one of those things that we're now seeing. So I think this is a no-brainer. I think this is going to pass unanimously or close to unanimously, and we're going to see more bills like this, I think. What's your thoughts, Kathy?
I think bill session, in which, by the way, it's unprecedented. We've never had two special sessions in 1 year. But anyway, when we had the last special session, we had a fix because people felt that they weren't getting their full property tax credit. So we said, okay, we'll let the discount come first and then we'll give you your credit, not realizing that the software programs that the counties use, we're going to have so many difficult times with this. So what they've done now is they're just going to have to turn it back to the way it was. And maybe they can do something in the regular session to fix that so that it's uniform across the state. I don't know. But yeah, you're right. This one will have to pass too. Yeah,
I don't think there's going to be any big major opposition to this one. Then the last bill, we're going to be seeing next week is it's Senator Mathern's bill. And a few weeks ago we talked about data centers, and what this would do is ban non-disclosure agreements that state and local government agencies may seek regarding these data centers. So why don't you go ahead and give us more detail on that one? I read through this one 4 or 5 times, and I'm still trying to figure out exactly what it does. So if you could, bring us all up to speed on that, that'd be great.
So I think what they're trying to say is that a county commissioner, a city commissioner couldn't have a non-disclosure agreement with a data center and then keep things from their citizens based on how much energy they're using, how much water they're using, how much property they're buying. So they wanted to avoid that. Now, we did change that a little bit in legislative management meeting last week, and they amended it, and Senator Mathern was agreeable to include all industry. So it's not just picking on data centers, but the whole idea is should public servants, public officials be allowed to sign a non-disclosure act, keeping things from the people they serve. And unless I hear something really otherwise next week, I think this one's a no-brainer too. I don't know why any public official would want to keep secrets from the people that are electing them.
Right. Did that come out of legislative management unanimously also? It did. Okay. Leanne,
Yeah.
do you have something to say on that?
Well, I was just going to say, one, I don't think this is a small thing. Like, I think it's right up there with Kratom. Second thing is, I rarely agree with Tim Mathern on anything. On this, I do agree. And the third is, I thought our sunshine law in North Dakota would prevent something like that from, like when I heard about NDAs being signed,
Yeah.
I'm like, people are going to go to jail now. So this is a big deal.
And
I
that
just want
was
your opinion on that. An
that was
NDA
something
by
that-
a public official. Sorry.
So I'm sorry, I talk too much too. Senator Murdahl in the legislative management had the same question. We have open records laws in our state, so how could they do both? And there was a question about that, whether or not they were even needed, because people could request the records. But should there even be a thought on signing a non-disclosure agreement and making somebody have to seek records? For example, I don't believe we have one coming up in my district. So why would I even think about asking for those records? I wouldn't. So I think just prevents it from happening in the first place.
Yeah, I don't think we should take this one lightly. It just seems that there could be, not that there is, but it could be used for nefarious reasons, right? And
Yeah, unless we hear something, really that's from the Association of Counties or something, I don't know what they could say that would change my mind on this, but we'll see.
Okay. Well, that's pretty much all of it for our legislative review here, and I'm looking forward to seeing everybody next week and seeing how these come out. Anybody else have any last questions for Kathy before we send her off into the night?
so it's 3 days that you're there?
Yep,
And
3
so-
days.
3 days, it takes 3 days to pass a bill, but the policy group will meet the day before. So they'll be there for four days so that they can listen to public testimony ahead of time.
Any chance there's another special session before the actual
Nope.
session? I'm joking.
I still work, so this is tough on people that still have a job to take off more and more days, but it is what it is. It's part of the position.
Right.
Okay, Kathy, we appreciate you. It was nice to meet you. You did a great job. I think the
Thanks.
public is a little bit more informed, and we'll see what you guys do next week. Do the right thing, okay?
Okay. We'll
Thanks
try.
for having me on. You guys are always having so much fun on here. It's fun to join.
Oh, you
Oh, we
should
like
see
to
us
make
after
fun
the
of
show.
Mike. We like to make fun of Mike.
You're invited. Okay. Thanks,
See ya.
Kathy.
Thanks.
Okay, Ryan, we're going to get back to your answer on what does win and upscale mean to you?
Well, I'll just try to give a short synopsis. Does this sounds better? I'm not sure.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So, you've got to first win, get a seat at the table before you can make change. As I was saying, Minnesota, we haven't had a Republican governor since 2006, Tim Pawlenty's term. And we've seen how far left the state has become over that time. So you can't win with getting the Mike Lindell or win governorship by voting, nominating Mike Lindells of the world. You need to have somebody to first get a seat at the table to get that change and to get that ball rolling, which leads me into my other example of 8 years ago, Ron DeSantis, when he became governor of Florida. Florida was a purple state back then. It could flip either way in the elections, presidential elections. They weren't sure which way it was going to go. He wins by 30,000 votes. Now, 8 years later, Florida is one of the reddest countries, or one of the reddest states in the country. Even the last presidential election, Miami-Dade County voted for Trump, a Republican, over a Democrat. So you first have to get a seat at the table before you can start to make change. And once you get that seat, you can see what happened in Florida.
I think we'd all agree maybe that it's much easier at the state level probably than the federal level, right? That incumbency thing is just so hard at the federal level. I had an example of win and scale up that I wanted to show you.
Yeah.
Pretty accurate, right?
100%.
Quite accurate.
Win and scale up. So hang on, let me get to my chart here. We're going to go to the next, our fire away segment, right? This one, I've got some interesting things to bring up. So everybody knows I'm going to talk here about Brandon Gill. In case the viewer is unfamiliar, this is Brandon Gill. You've probably seen him on highlights or on social media. Brandon Gill is a representative from Texas. I think he's fabulous. He recently said this: everything that directly impacts your life, affordability, safety, cultural stability, all of it is downstream from immigration. The choice to vote for a Democrat party committed to opening our borders to the world is a choice to commit civilizational suicide. Okay, so that's Brandon Gill. Now I want to play a video of Charlie Kirk's. Hopefully you guys can listen to this.
I'm white. I don't want white people doing the roofs because I got people complaining it's hot outside.
So why don't you educate me of what mass deportations would do to your industry?
There'd be no one to work on to build back. We've already seen it in Florida.
So then allow me to provocatively then have me tell you how I hear it. Are you telling me everyone in this room is hiring illegal labor?
Not everyone, but I know I have in the past.
Okay, so everyone is saying yes. So, and again, you guys can boo me off stage, and I want to respectfully have it. And if I'm wrong, come to the mic. So is everyone here in this room committing a felony?
Yes.
Okay, good to know. You have proven a very a depressing point that we are not a nation that wants to have immigration policy. We just aren't. We're not. Like, we are not tough enough or strong enough to have mass deportations. We're just not. And I thought that we were maybe, but maybe we could have a couple months of it. And look, as far as the compassion thing, I look at it, why is it not compassion to send them back to their country of origin? Why do they have a right to come to our nation? A nation has a right to be able to invite, be able to reject people of their choosing. And as far as the Christian standpoint of it, in Deuteronomy, in Ezekiel, all throughout the scriptures, there's plenty of examples of repelling people from coming to your nation and prioritizing those in your homeland.
So that's Charlie.
Wow.
I thought that was it was depressing, but true. And
100%.
Charlie was not afraid of going to the truth. He even said, boo me off the stage. But we're not serious about this, right?
Nope.
And that's where we get into the Trump is, we'll ask Ryan that question. But the point I want to make to set this premise up. So is America submissive to the economy, or does the economy serve Americans? So if you could buy an $80 TV, but we were going to have Sharia law, is that fine? Or what if you had to pay $220, but we'd never have Sharia law? You get my meaning? Which one's the master? Which one's the slave? Okay. Which one's the master? Which one's the slave? I don't think the Federalist Papers ever said a thing about how cheap things would be, how life would be completely comfortable. It just said you have a chance to be free and create your own path. Yep. I think we've kind of turned this cart upside down, and I think that video there showed it. The master is that those people have to make a living, and they need immigrants, cheap labor rather than American labor to make a decent living.
Americans are too late.
We all reap benefits of it. What?
Americans are too lazy to do that job. They won't. That's why you need the cheap labor. Americans are too lazy to do half the jobs that illegal immigrants will do.
Are they too lazy, or is the pay not enough?
Well, both. They feel, with the age of social media now, they feel they can be influencers and they don't want to work, and they would rather do that than actually work a hardworking job. But you have the illegal immigrants or immigrants, both, that will work these jobs for low pay because that's all they're going to get from the people that are paying them. I mean, if it was.
So, Mike, let's start with you. We mentioned in a past episode that the Treasury Department stated illegal immigration added an additional 30% to the price of housing and 25% to the price of rent. Inflation can take many forms, can't it? Not just flooding the system. It's a supply and demand thing, right? And here you're increasing demand.
Oh, for sure. And before I get into this answer, is it just me, or does Brandon Gill, is he an exact doppelganger for Clark Kent? Or is it just me? First time I saw him, I thought for sure he was going to rip off his suit and have a Superman outfit underneath it. Yep. But
I think he's married to Lois Lane.
That could be. but yeah, you're right. I mean, there's dozens of things that play into inflation. Number one thing is printing money the way we do. The more money you have in the system, the less value it has. So things are going to be more expensive. And supply chain interruptions are another huge one. This really came apparent during the COVID period when the supply chain was all but shut down. It showed how fragile our supply chain really was. And in my opinion, it really has never fully recovered from that. But this is why I keep preaching that government regulation is one of the biggest contributors when it comes to high prices. And we need to really look at deregulating, which would make it much easier for those providing products to our people, products and services to deliver to the people. I mean, this is what we're going to need to do. Natural disasters are another one that play into prices. Like you said, importing 20 million immigrants over a 4-year period vastly increased the number of houses and apartments that we needed to house these people. And, so what does that do? That increases the demand beyond what the market had available. And any time that you have more demand for something, then the supply is not being met, then that increases prices. So yes, these are just a few examples, probably the most basic ones that you can think of off the top of your head, but all of this plays into high prices. Now, I'm going to get myself in trouble here probably, but if you want to solve high prices, it can be done, but nobody, in my opinion, has the political will to actually tackle these issues because they include things like massive cutting and spending. It includes balancing our budget. It includes paying off our national debt, significantly having government get out of the way of the private sector in its regulatory environment. You're going to probably have to stop immigration completely until we can get caught up with things like, food supply, housing units, and we need to stop borrowing money from adversaries. This is really, the America First policy, and it's great, and it would solve a lot of our problems as far as inflation is concerned. But I don't think we'll ever see it. I mean, at least not during our lifetime. Someone just asked me recently, why doesn't the U.S., instead of exporting all of our stuff to other countries, just first supply 100% of everything that we build and make it available to U.S. citizens to first meet our demands, And then if there is excess, we can sell it to other countries. Well, I know the answer. You guys all know the answer. But I couldn't say I disagreed with his sentiment. What would gas prices be if we first just met our demand before we exported it? What would food prices be? What would vehicle prices be? They would all be significantly cheaper. But, the other problem that comes with that is that, we're going to be selling stuff for less money, which means that wages are going to have to go down because now you're reducing their profit margins. So, if we're ever going to address this issue at a national level, it's going to require a very slow and steady reduction in spending, regulation, immigration, and benefits that the Americans receive. And I mean, I'll ask you guys: Am I way off here? Do you guys agree? I mean, can we ever accomplish this, or are we just going to go full speed over the fiscal cliff?
This is why socialism. This is why socialism looks so attractive to so many young people, and that's all I'm going to say.
We're going to talk about that more in Unplugged. Leon, we joke about gays for Gaza, but it is serious.
Mm-hmm.
There are these weird alliances that to a logical person make no sense. But if you dig deeper, they make perfect sense. You're the right guy for this question. Explain the alliance with the left and Islam.
You're right, dude. A logical person stares at this and says, like, these two groups, they should be mortal enemies. What's going on? But like you said, you dig one layer deeper, and the alliance kind of snaps into focus. The left and political Islam, they don't share any values. They share an enemy. That enemy is us, the West, specifically the Christian, capitalist, individual rights version of the West that still has the temerity to exist. The progressive left, to be clear, has spent decades trying to dismantle that West from the inside. Family, borders, biological realities, free speech, the whole list. Islam has spent centuries trying to conquer it from the outside. Open the borders, import millions who reject the host culture, and suddenly the left has a demographic battering ram that does the dirty work that they could never finish alone. And in return, Islam gets the protection and the welfare and the free pass on every cultural practice that would get a Christian like taken to the behind the woodshed in a heartbeat. Gays for Gaza, it's just the purest expression of that deal. The activists waving the rainbow flag, they're useful idiots. They provide the moral cover while the ideology that would erase them completely grows stronger. There ain't no Lindsay Clancy's over in Istanbul. Like, that stuff doesn't fly over there. But anyway, the moment that that demographic, the Muslim, the Islamist, the moment those numbers tip and the rainbow flag gets folded up, the real rules will kick in. I think the left knows this. They simply care more about destroying the civilization that they hate than about the people that they claim to champion. And that's why this alliance holds. Not because it's coherent, because it is effective. Every open border vote is another step toward the day when the useful idiots discover, probably too late, that they were never partners. They were just the scaffolding to get up there. And that scaffolding is they're gonna smash it down as soon as they get into power.
Dude, that'll preach.
No, thanks.
That's what I had. That's why I had that question for you.
Yeah.
I make you guys look good, don't I?
Yeah, you do.
Feed you what you're good at.
Red meat. Give me that red meat.
Under Biden, we let in over 10 million illegals. I think it's more than 10 million. It might be 18 million.
Yep.
So far, we have removed less than 2. If you're a Democrat Party, would you not make that trade any day of the week and twice on Sundays?
It's a no-brainer. You do it all the time. I think it first started off with, Biden's response to Orange Man bad was, we can't do what he did, so we're just going to open up the border and reverse everything he did. He could have kept these people in asylums at the border or kept them in Mexico like Trump did, but no, we opened up the border and anybody could claim asylum, and you don't have to come back for 5 or 10 years for your hearing, and by that time we'll never find you. So, but I think the other thing that was at play was they saw what was starting to happen with the 2020 census, when there were some states that were starting to lose congressional seats of Democratic states and electoral votes. And what better way to curb this electoral erosion than to just flood Democratic states with illegal immigrants? It increases the census numbers, it helps stem the loss of votes to Democrat leaning or to Republican states. And additionally, you've got localities in California, Maryland, Vermont, DC that allow non-citizens to vote. So, exchange millions of or let millions of people across the border in exchange for a vote. It's a quid pro quo if you ever had one.
Guys, do you have younger brothers?
Yep.
Don't you hate it when they're smarter than you?
Not sure. It's never happened.
I'm with Mike.
Hey, I can admit it. Okay, I want to show you one last thing in this, and then we'll move to, this is what Jesse Kelly said, okay? Republican politicians have an angel on one shoulder and a demon on the other. The angel is the base demanding deportations. Now I want you to see the bottom part there. The GOP does not fully understand the simmering hatred their base has for the mass immigration that has trashed this country. Do you think Trump still gets that?
I think he still gets it. I really do. I just think he realizes now it's impossible to get 10 million people out of this country. You can leak them in through a border, easily. They can just come run across the border. You don't need getting rid of them is a heck of a lot harder than letting them in.
Yeah.
No judge is going to stop them from coming in, but they're sure is going to do whatever they can to try to keep them from getting out.
Exactly right.
So it's an 18 million. Go ahead.
I think that we're frustrated because we saw what they were doing. We knew it was illegal. They were black flights in the middle of the night. Them taking forklifts down there to lift up the barbed wire, the suing. And so we sit back and we see all the protests over ICE and them just doing their job, and we're like, how do these people get to run roughshod over the law? And then when we try to enforce the law, like it's all over the media, we're the evil, sometimes I want Trump, and I think I've heard Steve Day say this, I want Trump to be more Trump. I want him to kick in the door and just go, screw you guys, you're leaving. Oh, it's a woman that's been here for 5 years and she's illegal and she works in the soup. You're gone. I don't care. Because everybody is going to have that. We're all happy when the criminal aliens are kicked out of here, but it's got to be all of them. My job is affected, and I've gone through this like 100 million times. My job is affected negatively because of the wage, just decapitation of these cheap Haitians and Somalians and all of that. And I'm like that idiot that stood there and basically admitted that he committed felonies with Charlie Kirk. Like there are young men, Americans, that will do that job. But I've seen way too many Republicans that are totally comfortable with hiring these illegals. They're 100% comfortable with that. We got to do something about it. I want Trump to go in there and hit those guys also. I want more Trump. I don't want this demure Trump that we've got right now. And I'll digress.
No, I get it, but 18 million for two. You make that trade all day long, and it's depressing as hell. Okay, guys, we're going off to looky here. Looky here. We're going to start with, let me see. This one's Mike's. Mike, lay it on us.
Have you guys? I don't know if you guys have seen this one, but I laughed so hard when I saw this headline. But Perry, you talk all about America not being a serious country, but I think England is way beyond where we're at. And so there's this guy named, and this is what he goes by. His name is Count Binface, and he just ran an election against Nigel Farage for a seat in the British Parliament. Believe it or not, 9,000 people voted for a trash can. Not accidentally. I mean, not because the ballot was confusing. It was 9,455 people looked at the options they had, and you said, you know what? Give me the garbage can. And honestly,
Give me the garbage can.
That might be the most brutally honest political poll ever conducted. But I mean, can you imagine being a politician and seeing these results? You can handle losing votes to another candidate, but when nearly 10,000 people would rather be represented by something they normally fill with coffee grounds and banana peels, that's got to sting. And the trash can, his name is Count Binface. I mean, that just makes this even better to me. But forget approval ratings. From now on, I want every single election to include a trash can on the ballot, because I really want to see where everybody stands.
It's a handsome Binface.
Yeah,
it's a good looking guy. Yeah.
Got a little R2D2 vibe going there. Yeah.
Yep.
I get it. I can dig it.
Okay, Leon, here's your lookie.
Dude, have you guys been following this Lindsay Clancy thing?
Oh, yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm getting yes.
So I posted this, and I am not kidding you. I thought I'd have liberal women like all over me. Hey, you misogynist, you blah blah blah. I have friends, and you'll notice I didn't post any of the comments, even though there were tons of comments, tons. The amount of women that are standing up for this woman. Like the last time I looked at her GoFundMe, it was well over $1 million.
Yeah.
She murdered 3 very young children. I'm going to talk about it in my show on Friday. But my God, what are we doing, dude? This was insanity. Like the amount of comments that I got from people that I considered right of center females, that one got all of their information apparently from TikTok, because they were like, well, it's clear she didn't do it. It was the husband that did. I'm like, she admitted to it. Her defense said she did it. She's suing her mental health provider because they should have stopped her, and she detailed in there how she did it. Like there's what are we talking about here? We have a problem in this country.
Toxic empathy, right?
Suicidal empathy.
Yeah,
like that just blew my mind.
Not only does Candace Owens suffer from it, but we have lots of other people that do.
Did you hear her? Candace Owens said she didn't do. I'm just like, okay, we're done. I snatched the iPad from my wife. I'm like, no more Candace Owens. She's out of there. She's gone. Let me check your eyes for SSRI. You're good. All right.
I've heard or seen evidence online where guys who have girlfriends that are Clancy fans are breaking up because they're like, I got to get away from this. We can't be. I could be knifed in the middle of the night some night. You know what I mean? I mean, it's crazy.
Like I'm telling you, the hashtag repeal the 19th has been trending hard.
Oh, wow.
And I was going to show this for your comment, but you said it's not even just liberals, but it's. Have you seen this?
Yep. 100%.
But it's people on our side too. So I mean, it's just something's in the water.
Yep.
Hey Ryan, you're next. We got your lookie here, right here.
So this one is straight out of Great Britain. It's one of those European countries. Yeah, one of those European countries that love to show how compassionate they are to immigrants. Then they'll let anyone in. Country that will call someone racist and actually hear the truth of what their policies can create. to realize what some of this compassion comes with consequences. Consequences from letting in immigrants from Muslim countries that seem to think it's okay to rape women or to abuse children or to think of women as less than human. Things are starting to get out of hand that they need to start handing these pamphlets to immigrants as they come in to the country to remind them that these things aren't right and they're against the law. So one of the pamphlets even says that people under 16 years of age are unable to consent to sex. But these are the same leftists. This is what I'm trying to understand. If a person under the age of 16, which I think we all agree is unable to consent to sex, how is that same under 16-year-old able to change their sex to consent to that? Like you can't consent to one, but you consent to the other. It's
perfectly logical.
That's the liberal logic. So
hang on. If a woman says no to me, what you're telling me is I can't continue with the act. Is that what you're saying to me?
That's what the British government is now trying to tell Muslim immigrants, that you cannot.
But what if she's 9 years old?
They're trying to tell them that too. That is bad. Yep.
You blew my mind right now. I got to rethink my entire worldview right now.
I just finished a book called Persian Fire that talks about the Persian Empire in 900 BC. This would blow their minds.
It would. This reminds me of another George Costanza moment when he was caught having sex with the cleaning lady on his desk, and he went into his boss's office. And so this is what I imagine these Muslim immigrants are like. That's frowned upon. I got to plead ignorance on that one. I mean, where I came from, we did that all the time.
You mean this is frowned upon? I did not know that I could not do. My whole worldview is just.
I think I'd have stayed home if I knew. I think I'd have stayed home. Anyhow, okay, here's mine. This one's going to be, I'm curious to hear your remarks. Look at the top part first. I want you to tell me if there's correlation here.
I saw that this week.
University of Michigan is eliminating first semester grades because what it calls a growing health crisis among college students. So they can't handle it. It's a lot of pressure to start with when you've had no pressure your entire life. Now, the second one. Since 2000, the number of unmarried men has doubled compared to married men, ages 20 to 39. I'm asking you, wizards, is there a correlation? Or is
Lindsay Clancy supporters, and I'm done.
Well, after seeing the top part there, Perry, I think we might as well just go the full way instead of just going part way. Let's just go the full way. And all you need to do to get a college degree is just send them an email and say, hey, I'd like a degree in this. And okay, we're not going to grade you on anything. We're not going to make you go to any classes. This is all too stressful. So here's your 4-year engineering degree. Go get a job. You owe me $100,000 for sending this to you.
I don't think
people, go the whole way. That's where we're ending up, right?
I don't think people that are going for an engineering degree are the problem. It's the people going for lesbian African degrees. That's the problem. The problem, like, if I was in admission, I would just look at what you wanted, like your majors and your minors to be, and I'd be like, yeah, no. Nope.
Well, we've lowered expectations in so many things. And that chart you showed, I think, is exactly what you're referring to there.
Yeah, but we're the best parents ever. Nobody's been parents. I mean, we're so much better parents than what they used to be. I mean, boy, we love our kids so much more, but they can't. I mean, it can't be graded.
I saw a college professor, woman professor from an elite California school this past week that said we actually need to start implementing the SATs again and taking those into account in admissions, because she's like, I've got students that can't do basic math at an elite institution.
Well, math is racist, so.
Yeah, that's that.
Has been for years. Okay, Mike, why don't you let us know who's going to be here, episode 15, 2 weeks. I believe that is September 8th.
Yep, September 8th is going to be the next show. We're having on Jonathan Fortner. Jonathan is the president of the Lignite Energy Council. We're going to toss him into the hot seat and drill him with questions. So should be another really good show, and hope everybody tunes in then.
Okay, we'll see you in 2 weeks, folks. Thanks, guys, for showing up. You guys hang on. We got our Unplugged segment next, okay?